Do you have an idea or a dream that you really want to pursue but haven't gotten yourself to pursuing it? Do you find yourself in a constant loop of trying to start something but you never get started? Do you find yourself getting worried about what people will think when you put yourself out there and start pursuing something that's out of your comfort zone? If you answered yes to any of these questions, I have a story for you. So this channel, this video, was supposed to be created over 5 years ago. So I had a goal of trying to begin a YouTube channel and share ideas and content on that channel. But I never got myself to starting a channel. Yes, I started planning it out. I started researching how to do it. I started finding out what to do to ensure that I start from somewhere. But it never really happened. I kept on procrastinating the jump. I kept on being in this loop of planning this thing, and it never really happened. Yeah, to myself I thought it was just procrastination, but if I was true to myself, I think it was more than just procrastination. I think it was related to a 4-letter word that's called fear. But if I were to be exact, it wasn't just fear itself. It was 3 fears to be exact. I had the fear of failure. What if this didn't work out? I had a fear of uncertainty. Where am I going with this? I've never done this before. I don't know what the next steps will be. I think the biggest failure was a failure of what will people think? What would my friends and family think? What will my colleagues at work think? I think they might think I've gone crazy or I have no direction in life. All those thoughts kept on coming to me. So for me, these failures came out as planning and researching for how this will be perfect and all those things. It ended up being this endless analysis. It ended up being this endless loop of planning once again that led to basically analysis paralysis, where I couldn't even start. If that's you and you've been facing a challenge, you've been postponing your start date, you've been postponing your leap and jump into the realm of the unknown, I have 5 tips that will help you, that are helping me overcome my these fears and helping me at least make progress in a number of things that I have postponed for years at this point. Yeah, so hope you find something helpful. If you have any comments, you can let me know. So the first one is this idea of having a minimum viable plan. If you're like me, the weakness that you might face is trying to ensure that everything is perfect before you start. You want everything to be figured out and you want it written down on paper, step by step, to the detail of how you're going to achieve this thing. But to be true to reality, you might not always have the picture perfect plan before you can start. So the best way is to have something I call a minimum viable plan, something that will get the minimum job done without overcomplicating the whole process. In the startup world and in agile project management, there's this concept of having a minimum viable product, which is simply a product that, like I mentioned, just does the bare minimum of what purpose of this product is. So let's take, for instance, the cell phone. So the cell phone, in its most foundational function, is just to make a call from one person to the other. Now cell phones have become so complicated. We have cameras on phones. We can do all kinds of stuff on phones. And I'm sure in the beginning stages, when somewhere along the line, the producers, the creators, the manufacturers of these these phones started this whole process, they would have wanted their phones to have all these functions, the functions that we see today. But back then, I'm sure it wasn't. It would have been a waste of time. It would have delayed progress if they started with all those things. But if you look at the first version of the cell phone and what we have right now, there's definitely a lot of improvement. So it's sort of like the same concept. So we start with something that will get you there, that will just give you the bare foundation of function. From there, you can begin to build on different versions. From the iPhone, the first iPhone that was released, to now the iPhone 14 something that we have today, depending on when you're watching this. So create a minimum viable plan that you have the final picture in mind, but that is broken down to just the bare foundation of what you want to achieve. So that's the first one. So the second concept, the second tip, the second thought is the thought of things will become clearer as you get along the way. So one temptation is to want to have everything figured out before you can start, but that might not necessarily help because life is so dynamic. There are a lot of things that will come, and there are a lot of things that change. We don't know when the next credit crunch will hit. Weather might change. A lot of things might change. So for some things, like we said, once you have that minimum viable plan and you start your process, some things will become clearer as you move along the way. So you'll be able to adjust according to the circumstances that you have around you. So it's like driving at night. You're not able to see the whole way. You just be able to see a few meters away or a few feet away. But once you know where you're going and the route to take, you'll be able to navigate yourself through the road as you head to your destination. Once again, you won't have the full picture of you won't be able to see the road all the way to your destination, but you'll be able to see enough to take you to the next step. And if you find a detour at that step, you'll know that you need to change direction, you need to change course, and you need to change course while you still have the destination in mind. So the next idea is this concept of there being an ignorance tax. So I first heard this from Alex Hamosi.
The biggest threat to all entrepreneurs is that they are ignorant. Is that we are ignorant of what it takes to be successful at whatever the next level is for us. This concept is one that has just like frightened me and like for my whole life. I think I heard Myron say this on stage and it was like really impactful for me. He said it's costing you $1 million a year every year you don't know how to make $1 million. And to me, that's the tax of ignorance. So like everyone who's listening to this, who's not making $1 billion a year is getting taxed by life far more than the government is for just the ignorance that you have to not knowing how to do it. And so that's always been the biggest tax I've tried to pay down as fast as possible. Every person who makes more than me knows more than me in some way. And I just have to try and figure out what am I ignorant of that they are not ignorant of. It costs me $1 billion a year to not know what to do to make $1 billion. Or I do know how to make $1 billion and I just have to wait and pay down my time debt, which is what I feel like I'm doing right now. I'm just paying down time. Understanding whether it's a lack of knowledge or it's just a timeline thing, like those are big differences, right? You could be doing the right thing, but just be 10 years behind when it's going to come to fruition. You will get outsized returns on the knowledge and the lessons that you will learn. You want to pay that ignorance down as fast as you can, because as soon as you have that knowledge, you'll be able to skyrocket straight to 20, 50, 100, 500,000 a month very quickly because you know how to do it.
So the fourth concept is this idea of learning from your mistakes. So I think we've really been configured, or we've really been conditioned to think that failure is always a bad thing and it's something that we should be ashamed of and all that. I think it comes from our education system and everything, where if you fail, you there's no hope for you and all those things. But I think when it comes to real life and life after formal education and everything, I think failure is something we need to embrace as literally a stepping stone to getting where we want to get to. So like in the same lines as ignorance tax, we need to use failure as something to learn from and improve from. I love this example of babies learning how to walk. They even though they fall, they always get up and try it again. When they fall, they get up and try it again. Obviously, there are ways that we've now tried to improve this process of babies learning how to walk with strollers and all that stuff. But but babies, yeah, just whenever they fall, they try and they'll laugh about it. Sometimes they'll cry, but they'll still get up and try and walk until they get the hang of it. And here we are, all having passed through this process. Yeah, so this leads me to the thought of having feedback, constructive feedback. So the more times you receive this constructive feedback, you can be able to learn from it and improve further from it. I love this concept from John Maxwell, who said, if you find yourself, if you had fallen down, or if you fall off a table, you might as well pick up a pen while you're under that table. So learn from your mistakes, fail forward, and progress from there. The fifth idea is this concept of starting now. So it's really important to start as soon as you can. First of all, this will help you in reducing the friction that will come from self-doubt and all those things. Then from that, starting now will help you learn quickly. It will help you with removing the startup clog or the learning clog that inevitably is there whenever you're learning a new skill. So start now so that you're able to quickly get rid of that clog and be able to make progress and improve. Don't allow yourself to get in your own way and constantly have a vision of the big picture, but you need to start small. So yeah, give yourself some time and start. I love a quote that I heard once that says, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So take that shot and begin to grow. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being with me, and hope you join me on my journey to ensuring that we are making progress.